For nearly 50 years, the Alien franchise has haunted the imaginations of movie fans all over the world, with 7 films in the main series, 9 overall if you count the Alien vs. Predator movies. It also has video games, comic books, and a TV series that is on the way. It has a variety of themes featured within each one, including terror, action, absurdity, space exploration, philosophy, paleoanthropology, artificial intelligence, and more, but the core centerpiece of the mood, feeling, atmosphere, and tone that you get with this franchise is none other than horror. To me, despite the versatility of the series, horror is still the most prominent idea lurking beneath the surface, and it's no surprise that the Xenomorph is considered to be one of the most iconic movie monsters in all of cinema. Playing a game like Alien Isolation puts you in the front seat of what it's like to be within these movies. Nothing around you but the blackness of empty space, the sounds and echoes aboard the rickety spaceship, the uncertainty of what lurks around the next corner, and, as those who have played the game can testify to, the numerous bloody ways that a creature beyond your full understanding can hunt you down and tear your meaningless, frail human body to pieces. But there's many horror aspects to the Alien series other than just it being a monster, so let's run through some of the elements presented in all of the films and see what adds to making this a definitive, long-standing horror series. I think the first and foremost thing, especially with the original Ridley Scott film, is the fear of the unknown or the unknowable. You have a limited amount of characters aboard a spaceship, their only solace in the vastness of this universe, and they are at the mercy of this ship's ability to get them home. But it's only them, here alone, and for thousands of miles in all directions, they are isolated. Or are they? Stumbling upon the crashed ship carrying the eggs begs so many questions that our characters are completely incapable of knowing. A dead alien in a chair with a hole in its chest, a vast collection of strange organic eggs, and it leads to the idea that there is so much more happening out there in the universe that does not give any regard to humanity. A vast, endless amount of species doing things in different ways for different reasons, and especially when the facehugger strikes and the humans don't know how to approach this situation. It's as if you were attacked by a wild animal, but you have no idea what that animal can do, what its defenses are, or anything about it. There's no manual on this situation, and immediately everything becomes life-threatening. Every new stage of the creature's development takes them completely off guard, and it's impossible to predict or get ahead of what this creature is going to do. They don't know its intent, they don't know its abilities, they don't know its weaknesses, they don't know how intelligent it is, they don't even know where it came from. All they do know is that it's big, it's fast, and in all likelihood, it wants to kill you. Whenever human characters have to face the grim reality that they're not at the top of the food chain and another living being views them as inferior, as food, or as something dangerous, something primal wakens within us, and it's a type of fear that none of us really want to face. But just like if you were in front of a polar bear or a very hungry shark, all of a sudden, that realization that all of your human intelligence won't save you here begins to sink in the worst possible way. This leads to the second main fear of this horror franchise to me, and that's the physical fear and the sexual undertones. The entire existence of the Xenomorph is one that makes us, as humans, seem like disposable flesh tools used to propagate and sustain something that gives no regard to us. A facehugger that essentially rapes its host, impregnating it with a creature that will burst its way out of the host's body after incubation. It violates all of our bodily rights. It doesn't care if you're male or female, and it's too powerful with too many defenses to begin to remove. A feeling of degradation taken against your will, and knowing that you have a ticking time clock on your lifespan now. The Xenomorph design, famously created by H.R. Giger, not so subtly portrays its beings in a disturbingly sexual way. From the way the facehuggers attach and insert themselves, to the phallic heads of the Xenomorphs, to the entrance of the original ship, it's all about life cycles, birth and death, biology, and in the midst of all of that happening, there has to be some kind of sexual intercourse. And though sex can be the most beautiful thing in the world, in one regard, passion between two lovers and the creation of life itself, this kind of life is that of an uncaring, thematically demonic creature that will reproduce at any cost and continue to do so in such a proficient way that simply dropping one of these eggs on a planet, given enough time, has a potential of causing a mass extinction to all life forms on that planet. Basically, it's that we have no rights to our own bodies in the eyes of these creatures. We're just a means to an end. As well as the general body horror featured within the franchise, the black goo introduced in Prometheus, and the strange effects that it can have on the human body. Shaw's squid abortion is still within the top 3 scariest moments of the whole franchise for me, and the ending of Alien Romulus as well shows the idea that our DNA can be simply manipulated and mutated, and overall it's not that difficult to do, and there's not much we can do about it. This leads to what I think is the third major horror of the franchise, which is hard to sum up, but essentially it's the perspective of humanity's place in the universe. It's very hard to come to terms with the idea that the universe is simply indifferent to us, that we're not special in the grand scheme of things, and there might be no grand design for our lives, that we could be used as tools or food for the xenomorph, but also the existential fear that's more present in movies like Prometheus and Alien Covenant. That what if the mere existence of humanity was simply an experiment, and a failed one at that? If our creators viewed us as inferior, something that didn't fulfill their original intent and they planned to destroy us just as if we were cells in a petri dish. That as far advanced as we can become with space travel and advanced android machines, that it would still be viewed as unworthy and an abomination, that we would even try to be on the same level as something like the engineers. A feeling of emptiness and disappointment to know that you may only exist because something could make you, and that they didn't even make you the right way. How many other worlds have the engineers explored? How many other experiments have they made? And what about our experiments? As AI, robotics, and technology continues to advance, the theme of these movies, such as the original Alien with Ash and especially David from Prometheus, lead us to fear that our own creations may one day surpass us, that humanity's own desire for power and advancement might be our own undoing. Androids that can assimilate into human settings without any kind of detection, that can carry out tasks where your life is forfeit and yet have a smile on their face convincing you that they have your best interests in mind. And what's worse, they can be programmed and controlled by faceless, soulless corporate entities that value profit over human life. Which is part of what I consider the fourth main horror of the franchise, in the theme that human desire, mostly represented by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, is an organization that prides itself on benefiting mankind with technology and weapons, but at the expense of those that it consumes to get that power. Whether it's instructing Ash to bring the alien back at the expense of the human crew, or Burke willing to have Ripley and Newt impregnated by the facehuggers, to the distrust of Weyland at the end of Alien 3, the company looks one way on the surface level, but will justify whatever dark deeds necessary for its progress, adding to the feeling of isolation and the inability to trust anybody around you. And these are just some of the themes that stand out to me, but obviously a lot more goes into horror, such as the setting, most films taking place in a claustrophobic spaceship with small dark hallways and corridors. The flashing lights, the steam, the alarm sounds of self-destruction, the way that the hive of aliens felt in the film Aliens, with people suspended in a membrane-like substance used for procreation, and going back to Alien Isolation, the game, such a wonderful immersive experience of the pure feeling of horror that these movies give you, captured in a way that makes you part of that experience. But any way you choose to look at it, the Alien series has remained a horror staple, and with Alien Romulus performing pretty well, it's likely not going to go away anytime soon. We all love different things about the series. Some people love the high-intensity action elements of a movie like Aliens. Some people like the dreary atmosphere of Alien 3. Some people like the extensive lore and thought-provoking conversations of Prometheus and Covenant. And some people just like monsters beating the crap out of each other like in Alien vs. Predator. But whatever part of the series that you personally resonate with the most, without a doubt, the thread that holds them all together is that initial horror first introduced in 1979. So what do you guys think is the most horrifying aspect of the franchise for you? What about its themes or identity stands out as something that is still terrifying to this day and has mesmerized us for all of these decades? Let me know what you think down below. Thanks as always for watching, guys. I do appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and a comment to help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, links in the description for my Patreon channel memberships. Other than that, guys, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.